You are 51 and you have $1 billion. Your security detail consists of 4 people, not hired through an agency, vetted, trained, and employed directly by a private security firm that also manages the physical security of 2 of your properties, monitors your digital perimeter, and has a protocol for situations you have never experienced and hope never to. The monthly cost of this arrangement is $47,000. You do not think about this number the way you once thought about numbers. 15 years ago, you called 911 from a payphone because your car had been broken into and your phone was in the car. You waited 47 minutes. An officer arrived, took a report, gave you a case number, and told you the chances of recovery were low. He was right. The case number led nowhere. By the end of this video, you'll definitely see that the law is not applied equally at every level of wealth. Not because the law says so, but because the law is a system, and systems respond to resources, and resources are not distributed equally. You'll find out exactly what changes at each level and why. This is how the law protects you, from $0 to $1 billion. Level 1. $0. You are 23 and you live in an apartment where the front door lock has been broken for 6 weeks. You reported it to the landlord on day 1, day 8, and day 19. On day 31, you called the city housing authority. They logged the complaint. They said someone would follow up. Nobody followed up. Your neighbor's apartment was broken into on a Tuesday night. You heard it through the wall, the specific sound of a door being forced that you've heard before and recognize immediately. You called 911. The dispatcher said a unit would be there shortly. Shortly was 34 minutes. By the time the officer arrived, the person was gone and your neighbor was sitting on the hallway floor with her arms around her knees, and the officer was filling out a form on a clipboard. The form is called an incident report. The incident report goes into a system. The system generates a case number. The case number is what you receive in exchange for having experienced the incident. In most cases at this level, the case number is where the story ends. You have no renter's insurance. It costs $14 a month, and you know this because you looked it up once and then didn't buy it because $14 felt unnecessary until the moment it became necessary, at which point it was too late. You also have no attorney. If a legal issue arises, a wrongful eviction, a dispute with an employer, a debt collection action, your options are a public defender if it is criminal, or a legal aid clinic if it is civil, or the internet if it is neither, which most of it is. The legal aid clinic has a 3-week waitlist. The internet does not have a waitlist, but also does not have a license. The first rule, at $0, the law is available to you in theory and inaccessible to you in practice. The gap between those two things is measured in time, money, and the specific exhaustion of navigating a system that was not designed with your resources in mind. Level 2. $10,000. You are 26 and you have $10,000 in savings and a job with a salary. You buy renter's insurance. $16 a month, $192 a year, a decision that takes 4 minutes online and produces a document you file and hope never to use. When your laptop is stolen from your car 6 months later, you file a claim. The claim is processed in 11 days. You receive $840 after the deductible. The replacement cost was $1,100. The $260 difference is the cost of the deductible. You chose to keep the premium low. You have a minor traffic dispute that escalates into a legal threat from the other driver. You call 3 attorneys. 2 do not return the call. 1 offers a consultation for $150. You pay the $150. The attorney tells you in 22 minutes that the other driver has no case and explains why. You leave the consultation and the threat disappears because the attorney sent a single letter that cost you $200 to draft. The letter worked because it existed. The other driver's calculation changed when an attorney's name appeared on an envelope. This is the first time you experience what legal representation costs and what it buys. Not a verdict, not a case, just the signal that you are not navigating the system alone. You report a noise complaint to the police. An officer arrives in 18 minutes. The situation is resolved. 18 minutes is faster than 34. The neighborhood is different. The response time reflects the neighborhood before it reflects the complaint. The second rule, at $10,000, you can access the edge of the legal system. The edge is real protection against small threats. It is not protection against large ones. Level 3, $50,000. You are 29 and you have $50,000 in savings and a car and an apartment in a safer building. You have a relationship with an attorney. Not on retainer, you've used the same person twice, once for a landlord dispute and once for a minor employment issue. And you have his number saved and he has yours. This relationship costs nothing to maintain and is worth considerably more than its maintenance cost at the moment you need it. Your car is hit in a parking lot. The other driver leaves a note, insurance information, name, phone number. You call your attorney before you call the insurance company. He tells you in 4 minutes what to say and what not to say. The claim settles at full replacement value. The 4-minute call changed the outcome of the claim. You are also at the level where the middle-class financial traps start intersecting with legal vulnerability in ways most people don't connect. The same psychological pattern that keeps people undercapitalized, spending up to the edge of income, no buffer, no professional counsel, also keeps them legally exposed. I broke down exactly how that works financially in the video appearing right now, specifically the Wall Street level system and how brokers treat you differently at each asset threshold. The legal system operates on the same logic. But for now, let's look at what changes when the number crosses $100,000 and the threats get more sophisticated. The third rule, at $50,000, you have enough to access professional advice before you need it rather than after. Before is almost always cheaper than after. Level 4, $100,000. You are 32 and you have $100,000 in investable assets and a net worth that has become worth protecting. You hire an attorney on a limited retainer, $500 a month, which covers a set number of hours and guarantees priority access. The retainer means that when something happens, you call a person who already knows your situation rather than starting from the beginning with someone who doesn't. Something happens at month 4. A former business partner threatens a lawsuit over a contract dispute involving $18,000. Your attorney reviews the contract that evening, identifies 2 clauses that protect your position, and sends a response the following morning. The lawsuit is never filed. You also purchase an umbrella insurance policy, $1 million in additional liability coverage above your existing auto and renter's policies. The annual cost is $380. The coverage it provides, against lawsuits, accidents, claims, is $1 million. The ratio of cost to coverage at this level is the most efficient insurance you can buy and the least discussed. You move to a building with a doorman and a security camera system, not for status, for the specific reduction in ambient threat that comes with controlled access. Your car has not been broken into since the move. You cannot prove causation. You don't need to. The fourth rule, at $100,000, legal protection shifts from reactive to proactive. The difference in cost between the 2 modes is smaller than the difference in outcome. Level 5, $500,000. You are 36 and your net worth has crossed $500,000. You have a full legal team now, not a firm, a team. An attorney for personal matters, a separate attorney for business, and a tax attorney who coordinates with both. They know each other. They communicate without you having to explain your situation 3 times to 3 people. The coordination itself has value that doesn't appear on any invoice. A person files a civil claim against you, a slip and fall at a property you own, $80,000 in damages claimed. Your attorney responds within 24 hours. Your umbrella policy is notified. The claim is investigated, a counterposition is established, and the matter is settled at $12,000 through your insurance without trial. The entire process takes 4 months and requires approximately 6 hours of your attention. At $0, this same situation, had you owned a property, would have potentially resulted in a judgment against you, wage garnishment, and years of financial damage. The difference between those 2 outcomes is not the law. The law is the same. The difference is the team that navigated it. You also install a private security system at your home. Cameras, monitored alarm, smart locks. The monitoring costs $89 a month. The system has been triggered twice by false alarms and once by a real attempted entry at 2 a.m. that resulted in police arriving in 6 minutes because the monitoring company called them simultaneously with the alarm. 6 minutes is different from 34. The fifth rule, at $500,000, security becomes a system rather than a response. Systems are always more effective than responses because systems act before the event rather than after it. Level 6, $5 million. You are 39 and the threats have become more sophisticated. Not physical threats, legal and financial ones. A competitor files a frivolous intellectual property claim against your business. The claim has no merit but requires $140,000 in legal fees to defend over 14 months. The $140,000 is expensive. It is also significantly less than the $800,000 the claimant initially demanded in a settlement offer they sent on day 3, before your attorneys had reviewed the filing. Your attorneys reviewed the filing on day 1. You have a private investigator on retainer through your legal firm, not for surveillance, but for due diligence. Before you enter any significant business relationship, sign any major contract, or hire anyone above a certain compensation level, a background is run. It costs $400 per check and has flagged 2 situations in 3 years that would have cost significantly more than $400 to unwind. Your digital security is now managed by a firm rather than an app. They monitor for data breaches, identity theft attempts, dark web exposure of your personal information, and phishing attempts targeted at your email and your family members' emails. The service costs $2,400 annually and operates entirely without your involvement until something requires your attention. In the past year, something required your attention once. A phishing attempt that impersonated your accountant and requested a wire transfer. The security firm flagged it before you saw the email. The wire was never initiated. The 6th rule. At $5 million, the threats you cannot see are more dangerous than the ones you can. The protection you cannot see is more valuable than the protection you can. Level 7. $50 million. You are 44 and your name appears in public records in ways you did not choose. Property ownership, business filings, charitable donations, board memberships. Each one is a data point that exists in a public database that anyone can access with a search. At $50 million, enough data points exist that a person who wanted to build a profile of your life, your habits, your schedule, and your assets could do so from public records in approximately 4 hours. You know this because your security firm did exactly that exercise, built a full profile from public information alone, and presented it to you in a meeting. The profile was accurate. You spent 2 weeks after that meeting restructuring asset ownership through LLCs and trusts, removing your name from direct association with certain properties, and adjusting the public visibility of 2 family members who had not considered their own exposure. Your physical security has graduated from a monitored home system to a trained individual who travels with you to certain environments. Not everywhere. You are not a celebrity and do not require constant coverage, but to specific locations, specific events, and when traveling internationally. The individual is former law enforcement. He drives. He sits in certain rooms. He does not announce himself. The 7th rule, at $50 million, privacy is a security product. The erosion of privacy is not an inconvenience. It is a liability that can be measured in specific dollar terms. Level 8. $1 billion. You are 51 and you are sitting in a car that is not your car. It belongs to the security firm. It is armored, not visibly, not in the way of diplomatic vehicles with flags on the hood, but structurally, in the doors and the glass and the floor. You would not know this from the outside. That is the point. Your security detail is 4 people. 1 drives, 1 is in the passenger seat, 2 follow in a second vehicle. The route to this morning's meeting was determined last night and does not use the same roads as yesterday's route. Route variation is a protocol, not a preference. Your attorneys operate in 4 jurisdictions. Your assets are distributed across 17 legal structures in 3 countries. A lawsuit filed against you personally reaches a holding entity that holds nothing. The actual assets are elsewhere, structured correctly, and have been for 11 years. The frivolous lawsuit costs you $80,000 in legal fees to dismiss. It cost the plaintiff $200,000 to file and lose. The law has not changed. The resources available to navigate it have. You have a direct line to the police commissioner of the city where your primary residence is located, not because you called and asked for it, because the relationship exists through channels that exist at this level of civic and economic presence. When something happens at one of your properties, the response is not the same response that arrives 34 minutes late to a broken-into apartment on a Tuesday night. You did not build this access, you accumulated it, the way you accumulated everything else. Slowly, then suddenly, through decisions that compounded in directions you could not fully see at the time you made them. Somewhere right now, Someone is calling 911 from a phone that isn't theirs because their phone was in the car that was broken into. They will wait 47 minutes. They will receive a case number. The case number will lead nowhere. The system that produces that outcome and the system that produces a security team and an armored car and 17 legal structures are the same system, the same laws, the same country, the same rights on paper. What is not the same is the resources available to navigate the system, the knowledge of how the system actually functions rather than how it is described in civics class, and the accumulated decades of decisions that determine which version of the system you experience when you need it most. The law is not blind. The law is a system, and systems at every level respond to resources. Start building.